Have you ever caught yourself thinking, if I could just fix this one thing in my life, then I'd finally be at peace? Maybe it's your job, your relationship, your health, or even your own mind. You solve one problem, and for a moment, things feel lighter. But soon, a new worry appears. And a quiet question follows you around. Is there such a thing as a peace that doesn't disappear? Asapgis. Welcome to Buddha's Path. Learn and practice Buddhism, a place where we explore the Buddhist teachings in a clear, gentle way and learn how to bring them into our everyday lives. Let's begin with a familiar scene. Imagine someone named David. On the outside, his life looks fine. He has a job, a phone full of apps, some achievements to show on social media. But inside, he lives in constant tension. He wakes up checking his messages, worried he's already behind. At work, his mind is torn between tasks and notifications. On the way home, he scrolls through feeds, comparing himself to people who seem richer, happier, more successful. He tells himself, if I can just get a promotion, if I can just buy that apartment, if I can just find the right partner, then I'll finally relax. Sometimes he does get what he wants. There's a rush of happiness, a feeling of, yes, this is it. But it never lasts. The mind quickly finds something else to chase or something new to fear, and so the cycle continues. Craving, chasing, getting, losing, worrying, craving again. If you recognize even a small part of yourself in David, you're not alone. This cycle is exactly what the Buddha pointed to when he spoke about suffering and the possibility of freedom. That freedom is what Buddhism calls Nirvana. Nirvana is a word we hear in songs, movies, and casual conversation, a kind of fantasy paradise or ultimate bliss. But in the Buddhist teaching, Nirvana is not a place in the clouds. It is not an escape to some magical world where nothing ever goes wrong. Nirvana is much more profound and much more intimate than that. At its heart, Nirvana is the ending of craving and the freedom from the inner fire of suffering. The word itself is often explained as to blow out or to cool down, like a flame going out or a fire finally settling into calm embers. The Buddha did not say Nirvana is the destruction of life or the mind. Instead, it is the extinction of greed, hatred, and delusion, Nsinjis, the burning forces that keep us restless and dissatisfied. To understand this deeply, we can return to the Four Noble Truths. The first truth is that there is dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, stress, suffering, woven into ordinary life. The second truth is that this suffering is rooted in craving, the tight, grasping desire that says, I must have this, I must get rid of that, or I must be someone else. The third truth is the most beautiful. If craving can end, suffering can end. And the fourth truth is the path of practice that leads to that ending. So Nirvana is not a reward given by a god. It is the natural peace that appears when the causes of suffering, craving and clinging, are no longer being fed. Imagine a knot in a rope, twisted tighter and tighter over years. Nirvana is like that knot slowly being untied until the rope lies free and open. The rope is still there, life is still there, but the painful twist is gone. What does this have to do with our modern lives? A lot. We live in a time where craving is not only present, it's constantly encouraged. Advertisements whisper, you are not enough yet, buy this, and you will be. Social media says, you are not seen yet, post this, and you will be. Work culture says, you are not successful yet, achieve this, and you will finally rest. It is a world designed to keep the fire of more burning. When we hear Nirvana described as the end of craving, we might think, does that mean I should stop wanting anything? Just sit and do nothing? But the Buddha wasn't telling us to become numb or passive. He was pointing to a different way of relating to life. Instead of being dragged around by craving, we can learn to act from wisdom and compassion. We can still set goals, work, love, and care for others, but we do it with a heart that is less attached to, it must be this way, and I must not lose this. When we loosen that tight fist inside, stress begins to soften. Imagine being in the middle of a busy day, emails, deadlines, messages, and still having a sense of space inside, like a quiet room at the center of your chest where you can breathe. Problems may still arise. People may still misunderstand you. Plans may still fail. But your inner peace no longer depends entirely on outer conditions. This is a taste, even if very small, of the direction of Nirvana. So how do we walk toward this inner freedom? The Buddha described a path with many aspects, but 3 pillars are especially helpful to remember: ethics, meditation, and wisdom. Ethics means we train ourselves not to harm through our actions, our speech, and our lifestyle. When we live in ways that are honest, kind, and considerate, the mind naturally feels lighter. We are not constantly running from guilt or regret. A clear conscience becomes the first layer of peace. Meditation means we develop mindfulness and concentration. In a world full of distractions, learning to sit, breathe, and watch the mind is a radical act. We begin to see our cravings clearly. The urge to check the phone, to argue back, to escape uncomfortable feelings. Instead of automatically obeying every impulse, we learn to simply notice, craving is here. That moment of seeing already weakens its power. Wisdom grows out of this steady looking. We see that everything, our thoughts, emotions, body, even our identities, are changing all the time. We see that clinging tightly to any of it brings tension. Slowly, the mind understands. I don't have to grab everything. I don't have to resist everything. I can let life flow a little more. This deep understanding is what turns us toward Nirvana. We don't have to be enlightened to begin tasting this. There are small, simple practices you can start right now. One practice is the 3-breath pause. Whenever you notice yourself getting caught in desire or irritation, reaching for your phone out of habit, feeling jealousy rise, getting ready to say something sharp, stop for 3 breaths. Don't force anything. Just feel the air moving in and out. Notice how the craving or anger feels in your body. As you breathe, quietly say in your heart, "This is craving. This is not who I am. It is something passing through." Very often, this tiny pause creates just enough space to choose a wiser response. Another practice is a daily reflection at the end of the day. Before sleep, sit for a moment and gently ask yourself, where did craving control me today? Where did I act out of fear, greed, or the need to prove myself? And where did I act from kindness, clarity, or patience? You don't need to scold yourself, just see clearly. Each day of honest reflection is a step toward the freedom of Nirvana, because you are training the mind to understand the causes of its own suffering. As you listen to these words, you might imagine gentle scenes: a monk sitting quietly by a river, a woman taking a mindful breath in a busy office, a parent choosing patience with a child, a person setting down their phone and feeling their feet on the ground. These are not glamorous images, but they are the real doorway to inner peace. Nirvana is not about disappearing from the world. It is about no longer being burned by the world in the same way. It is the peace that comes when the war inside you, between wanting and resisting, chasing and fearing, begins to calm. The Buddha walked this path fully and showed that such freedom is possible. We may be far from that final goal, but every moment we choose mindfulness over autopilot, compassion over selfishness, wisdom over blind reactivity, we are walking in that direction. There is a short and beautiful line from the Buddhist scriptures: Nirvana is the highest happiness. Not the happiness of getting what we want for a moment, but the deeper happiness of a heart that is no longer enslaved by endless wanting. If this reflection on Nirvana has brought you even a small sense of calm or clarity, I invite you to keep walking this path with us. Please, like this video, share it with anyone who may be searching for real peace, and subscribe to Buddha's Path. Learn and practice Buddhism so we can continue to explore the Dharma together, spreading wisdom, nurturing inner peace, and cultivating compassion for ourselves and for all beings.